Have you ever wondered what Korean egg bread actually tastes like? Today, I'm going to answer that question for you. This is what happens when you fall down that street food rabbit hole. All of these things that I cannot eat because I'm on a diet. Now I'm going to introduce you to your new favorite recipe. Grab yourself a large bowl and place 200 grams worth of all-purpose flour directly into that bowl, followed by 4 grams worth of baking powder, 50 grams worth of granulated sugar, and then you're also going to need 115 grams worth of melted butter, so use Chef Mike to help you out with that. After adding in all of your melted butter, you're also going to add in 150 milliliters worth of whole milk, followed by around 2 grams worth of salt, and then your cap full of vanilla. Give this a good whisk until everything is combined. It should start to look like pancake batter, and this definitely does not look like pancake batter. And do you know why? Do you know why this doesn't look like pancake batter? Because you forgot the eggs. You're also going to need to add in 2 eggs with everything else, but since I didn't, I'm just going to give them a quick whisk and then add this to my batter and then gently bring this back together, because if I were to get super crazy with this and get really aggro with that batter, it would just get everywhere. So after starting to mix this together, it will eventually start to look like a really thick pancake batter, almost closer to a cake batter. This is the consistency that you're looking for this Korean egg bread. After you've fully whisked everything together, grab a spatula just to make sure you scrape down the sides and there aren't any hidden pockets of flour or sugar or anything else. Now to get that iconic Korean egg bread shape, I'm using these smaller bundt cake pans. I'm also going to be using some really nice muffin tins so that way I can have a variety of which ones I want to make. Now even though these are supposedly non-stick, I don't trust any company that says they're fully non-stick, so I do go ahead and spray them down just a touch. Now when we fill this with our batter, I want to fill these just about 1/3 of the way up depending on the cake bun that you're using. After filling it about 1/3 of the way up, give it a few taps, and this is when we're going to introduce our eggs. Now you could do this 2 ways. I want to crack my egg directly on top of it and then move it around just a bit with the chopsticks, making sure that the egg white is kind of spread out very evenly, or you could do it with a scrambled egg. And since this ends up being sort of a kitchen sink kind of dish, I am using some tteokbokki that I marinated with gochujang. I like to spread these out just so you have a nice even bite, and then place some more batter directly on top of it. That part is optional. You don't necessarily have to top it off with batter, but I felt like it was a nice touch. After adding a bit more batter right on top, make sure you do spread this around so it does sit somewhat evenly on top of the batter underneath. So this way you get somewhat of a nice seal. It's not going to be perfect and it doesn't have to be. That's the whole point of the street food, right? Now instead of using that other bundt pan, I'm going to be making the rest of these into muffin sizes. The reason for this is because I felt like if I were to just make 2 of them, it wouldn't have lasted as long and I could have more this way with different flavors. So spread out the remaining batter as evenly as possible in your muffin tins and then fill it with whatever you want. For one of them, I am using a bit of asparagus that is raw, not cooked, followed by a few chunks of Gruyere cheese. The next one is just going to get a very heavy hand worth of green onions that are freshly sliced. The next one is going to get some kimchi, and I'm using choi's kimchi because I think choi's kimchi is amazing. And now we're going to crack our eggs directly on top of everything. That 4th one that I have is just going to get a freshly cracked egg plus some cheddar cheese. Normally you would find American cheese, but I had some extra cheddar cheese on hand, so I decided to use this instead, but American cheese goes really well here. Now again, I did use my chopsticks to help press everything down without trying to break the yolk. You can break the yolk if you want to, but I wanted that big yolk in the center. Hit everything with a bit more salt and black pepper, making sure that they are seasoned properly. And after you have seasoned them properly, place both the muffin tin and that small bundt pan you made earlier on a sheet tray and throw this in the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 35 minutes. Your mileage may vary depending on your oven, but mine went for around 35 minutes before I decided to pull them out. What you're really looking for is some nice color on those eggs and you have that golden brown texture and that the cake is cooked all the way through. You can poke this with a toothpick, but I decided to pop mine out and hope for the best, and the best was had. You get this nice crust on the bottom. The edges were cooked really well. It didn't get too much color on top, which is to be expected because it wasn't brushed, but unveiling the center gives us this beautiful yolk in the middle with the tteokbokki on the sides, and the cake is cooked really evenly. And this is my way of finally being able to try some Korean egg bread. And honestly, it's as simple as that, guys. We have our street food, our Korean egg bread. This has quite a few different toppings. You can really put whatever you want on it. Kind of think of it as a blank slate. That is what I enjoy the most about seeing this made in that YouTube rabbit hole that now leads me to basically wanting to do a street food series, so thumbs up for that. I think the most difficult part is really trying to find the balance of heat that you need so that way you don't completely overcook the yolk, because that's something that I don't really enjoy, like overcooked chalky yolk, and I think we found kind of a nice balance in between the both. Also, using those rice cakes is kind of a nice touch, but honestly, I'm really excited for the kimchi one that I'm probably gonna have to take all of those to the wife's work because, you know. So I'm going to cut a small portion of this so my trainer doesn't get mad at me. Of course, I'm gonna take the portion with the egg, right? This looks really cool, so I just cut it. Look at what that looks like on the inside. That's really neat. I'm gonna try to take my slice here, and cheers. Let's just go for it. Give me a second. Give me a second. It's really good. Like, I don't know what else to say. It's really good. It's super simple. The cake batter, or I guess the pancake batter, tastes more of pancake than anything, is really clean, not overly sweet, because for this recipe, I did tone down the sugar quite a bit. If you want it sweeter, go ahead, but I think it has a nice sweetness to it. The balance of the egg and the creaminess from the egg, plus the really nice cooked pastry in the bottom or the cake. And then you get a little chewiness from the rice cake. You don't get too much spice, so I feel like maybe I'd throw some chilies in there, kind of just have some fun with it. Just like you should have fun over at CHEFPK.com. My name is Chef PK, get subscribed, and remember, keep playing with your food. I am gonna walk away with these because they're like, that was really good and I really wanna try the other ones, but I have to then count it for my macros, and I'm just gonna walk away and maybe take these to someone who will appreciate them.